one. What forms of trauma do you commonly see in your community? Make sure you have a microphone. And let's be respectful while they're talking, please.
Yeah, lecturer said you respect, especially this group one. Maybe you can talk when other groups are talking.
No, you may not.
Or you may not. Yeah, so forms of trauma that we discuss, that we see in the society, we have domestic violence, we have political instability, we have ethnic clashes, and sometimes terrorism.
Yes.
Yeah. So domestic violence, one of us has given an example that recently there was a family that fought and the husband chased the wife and the house girl outside. So they had to sleep outside. So such violence are happening in our communities. Then we have political unrest. Political unrest of recent past, we saw two politicians, especially there were two governors. One governor came with goons, the other one was sitting in a meeting with goons. So immediately a set of goons rose. Goons are some young people that come together to bring chaos or violence. So the goons started fighting, and one of the governor was hurt and his vehicle was vandalized. And then we have ethnical or tribal clashes. In our community, we see different tribes against each other. Some of them abuse each other, either in social media or even physically. A fight can erupt anytime if some of them talk about different things. So these are some of the things that we usually see in our community. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Does anybody have anything significantly different or additional to add to that from their group discussion? Anything that group one missed? No? Group two, you have a microphone? Okay. How do people in your church usually respond to suffering?
Our community respond to suffering. First of all, we say they run to the pastor for assistance.
They ask the pastor for
in case of suffering. And also we perceive that it's our role to undergo. In African setting, we perceive that it's our role to undergo trauma.
Okay.
Thirdly, in African setting also, we go to flight and freeze mode, as in we avoid the situation and be ready for another situation. I can give an example that a man should be in fear in case of any trauma, but should behave strongly.
So we're not allowed to exhibit these things.
Yes, yes. I can also give an example that a man should be ready to die in case of any trauma. Not to tell anyone, but to be ready for himself. And also, I can give an example of a woman. She should be ready to start up all the issues that she has, because another woman went through that. That's an example that we gave here.
So if I suffer, you should be able to suffer too.
Yes.
If I'm able to be strong, you should be able to be strong too.
Yes.
That is how most of the time wives also. Sorry. We were thinking of the African setting that we are in right now. And most of the time, when you go through a situation, most of the time you are usually told, Yvonne, remember, Jane has gone through that, so suck it up, you will go through it, and you will. That is how most of the time we are being taught. So
We have a phrase that's called "suck it up, buttercup."
yes, ours is just suck it up.
Yeah.
Continue.
We make it only a little nicer with the buttercup.
So ours is just that way with our African setting. So most of the time, people just go on a freeze, mute, and just continue with life, accumulate. Yes.
Maybe just to add a little, when we were discussing here, I gave them an example of how women are told, in the case of trauma, that you should, as a woman, you should not crush at that because there's more pain that awaits, referring to child labor. So they said, if this one alone is able to crush you up, how will you endure childbirth?
I would say anesthetics. I was asleep for the birth of both of my children. That's how I endured it. So I'm going to use something that might resonate with you. If I could interrupt the discussions just a minute, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, on Saturday I prepared a large meal for the leadership team of Pastor Raphael's church. And the men were in the dining room and the women were in the kitchen. Typical. Very typical, correct? And periodically I was asking Dr. Watt to come give me assistance. Could you please open this for me? Could you help me with this? And he very willingly stopped what he was doing and came and helped me. Just as last week, as I was working in the back and he needed assistance, I would stop what I was doing and come help, right? So that's cooperation and teamwork. But it was stated by a couple of the men that women are more emotional than men. Is this true, men? Right. Who said very? Who said very? Raise your hand. Oh, now stop. Okay. Now, is anger not an emotion?
It is.
Okay. So how many women have you seen punching walls? None. How many women have you seen chasing their husbands out of the house and making them sleep outside?
Definitely.
You. Or not. How many women have you seen fighting with other women physically? Fewer than men. Fewer than men. Okay. So men are just as emotional. They just express it in anger. And it keeps them going up. Okay? So men are just as emotional as women, but the only acceptable emotion that they're allowed to express is what? Anger. Anger. Okay? It's a secondary emotion. Let me give you an example that's an American example, but I think you can relate. My kids come home from school and there's a bus that brings them home from school. And one of my children doesn't get off the bus. Now, I'm afraid. and I begin to pace, and think of things that I can do. Okay? Are we all understanding where I'm at? Okay? As a young child, I'm just giving you a scenario. Okay? And 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from the school. Your child missed the bus. Come pick them up. So I drive over and I pick them up and I start, what were you doing? Why did you miss the bus? Do you know how worried I was? Now, am I truly mad at them? No, I was worried. I love them. I wanted to hug them. I'm relieved to know that they're okay. Okay, but how does that come out? How does that express to them? It's expressed in anger. It's expressed in anger. So how many times men and women, but men, some women, but men, do we feel those secondary emotions? We feel hurt. We feel that our pride has been damaged. We feel betrayed. We feel sad. And we express it as anger. Men? Men?
Yes.
Many times. Say it out loud so everybody can hear.
Many times.
Many times. Women, do we do this too?
Listening.
Our husband hurts our feelings. And we yell at him the next time he doesn't take out the garbage.
They don't.
Our husband forgets our birthday. And we give him the silent treatment. Yeah? We're human. We're human. But we need to start thinking about how we can communicate not just in anger. How we can be a little vulnerable. How we can say, look, it really hurt me when that happened. Not, how could you be so rude? How could you be so not thoughtful? But it hurt me. I was hurt. I felt hurt. When we talk in I statements, I'm not accusing you. I'm saying how I felt. And how many of us can honestly say that if the person that we're supposed to love more than anybody else, that God joined us with in marriage, if they honestly say, I was hurt, how can we respond other than in compassion? If our spouse, the person who God joined us with to be one, they say, I was hurt, how can we help but respond in compassion? Okay. How can we help but respond in love? Okay. Because Christ called us to love the way He loved us. Christ called us to love the way He loved us. Okay? So, if we are being honest about our emotions and not just being angry, if we're being honest about our emotions and not just being angry, and we communicate honestly, how then do we respond in love? When we respond in anger, what do we get? More anger. More anger. What did we say earlier this morning? Trauma begets trauma. Hurt people hurt people. Anger gets more anger. I told you this class was going to be a lot about thinking, a lot about challenging ourselves, a lot about redirecting how we act and think and behave. There's going to be a lot of emotional work this week. Brace yourself. Be prepared. Okay. Continue with group number 2 and question number 2. Is there anything that we left out? Or did we cover it all? You covered it all?
Yes.
Okay. Group number 3. Yes.
Okay. The discussion was by.
Wait a minute. Give him a microphone.
How do people, they have been told that most women air out their anger by talking too much. They can just talk anything, even the words that are very harsh to somebody when he has offended her. And I told that we should just allow her to air out that anger through those bitterness and just talking. Was sometimes those are that harsh to somebody who was offended him or her.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand the whole question.
Okay. I was asking that there is this matter that how people react when they are angry.
Okay, so how people react?
Yes. I just want to talk about women, how they can air out that anger out by talking.
So they can air out their anger by talking.
Yes, and just not talking, just harsh somehow harsh words, and the words that can make that person who feel being also offended, and when she has also been offended.
So when two women offend each other,
Yeah.
and one airs it out, then the other person is offended as well.
Yes.
Okay, so how?
Which is
Sometimes-
the right way to use it.
So
Yeah.
sometimes there's just going to be a personality difference. Not everybody gets along with everybody. Okay? But there has to be some ownership in those discussions. Do you know what I mean by that? Okay? If somebody says, you hurt my feelings by that statement. Now, if I meant to hurt their feelings, I have to own that. If I didn't mean to hurt their feelings, I need to apologize. Okay? So we have to take responsibility. That was not thoughtful of me. I wasn't thinking when I said that. I'm sorry. Okay? And so there needs to be some genuine ownership in those discussions. They can't be one way. They cannot be one way where I get to dump on you and you have to take it, but you don't have to own any of your own behaviors. Who's heard the expression, it takes two to tango? You've heard that? What does that mean? So can I dance by myself? Can I tango by myself? Can I fight with myself? Okay. So if you start yelling at me, and I stayed pretty calm. Are you the one fighting and I'm just being calm? Is that a one-way fight or is that a real fight? It's just one way, right? Okay. So when we're able, even if somebody insults me, okay? So if I heard you saying after class, boy, she looked like an absolute cow in that dress. How could she think that she could wear a Kenyan dress and look attractive? Okay. Would it hurt my feelings? Sure. Yes. And if I said to you, you hurt my feelings, that really pained me. I asked you if I could have permission to wear, and you said yes, but then you said something else later. Okay. And I said my feelings were hurt. Okay. And you started yelling at me. Would that be fair? Now you could say, you said this in class and it offended us, and I would have to own that. I try to be careful, but I am sure there are things that culturally I don't understand. I try to be careful, okay? But that doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Yes? Okay. And I thank you all for any grace that you've extended me when I make a mess up that's offensive. Okay? Are we giving each other the same levels of grace? Are we creating safe spaces to have these discussions? So, what did I say when group number 1 started speaking? I established a rule that we were going to be respectful of all the other groups when they were speaking, right? Okay. Now this one here says, oh no, only with group number 1. Because he thinks he's special. Okay? All groups, all people. I'm teasing you, of course. Okay, but I established the norm, the rule. We're going to be respectful. Okay? So now we know that we're going to be respectful, right? Okay? There's an expectation in the room that while group number 3 is talking, even though they're not the privileged group of number 1, that we're going to be silent and be respectful for group number 3. Okay? We didn't say we were going to be respectful for 1, 2, and 3, but not 4. Who cares about them? They're clear in the back. We don't even care about them. No, we're going to be respectful for all groups. Okay? So we established rules. Okay? So when we as pastors are mitigating or having those discussions, we establish the rules. Nope. This conversation is going to continue only if, and we establish the rules that we're going to be honest and we're going to take responsibility for our part. Okay? If you can't do that, we're not going to have this conversation. So if one of you were being very disrespectful to the rest of the group, you were being disruptive, you were on your phone the whole time, your phone was ringing, you were talking, what do you think I would do? What do you think I would do? I'd ask you first to be respectful, and then I would ask you to leave, because you're not just disrespecting me, you're disrupting everybody else in this classroom who's attempting to learn. I could care less about me, but what about everybody else who's taken time out of their schedule to learn? you're disrupting their time. You're not being respectful of their time. So if we're entering a conversation, these are the rules, okay? And if you can't respect the rules of this forum, this conversation, then we can't have it. We're not going to waste anybody's time if you can't do that. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Yes, sir. Give him the microphone.
Yeah, I think he was referring to that women have got more systems to process their emotions
Of course.
than men. And one way is using talking to prevent the releases more than men. Because you find a lady will share her issues, but a man will hold it within himself.
Okay.
And I don't know, I might be wrong. That is why maybe we have more men committing suicide than women. Because women will get a system to navigate and release their emotions and deal with the issues more than men.
That's not the reason why you have more suicides. But let me explain why you have more suicides, but I don't disagree with what you said.
Yeah.
So the reason why you have more suicide is men are more prone to violence. Okay? If you're prone to violence against others, it means you value life less. Okay? And that means you also value your own life less. Okay? So men are more prone to deal with issues with violence, and suicide is violence. Okay? So I just wanted to clarify. Okay? But I do agree that men often bottle up their emotions. Okay? And they develop less networks to deal with their emotions.
Yes.
Okay, now, what if I said to you, okay, and I don't know how practical this is, but what if I said to you, this group is now your support group. I want you, the 7 of you, for the next 6 months to meet every week and discuss your emotions. Would that be helpful? Would it be helpful? Yes. Okay. How practical would it be? Could you get on a Zoom call? Yes? Okay. What is keeping you from developing support networks like this? Trust. Trust. So, if we establish rules, okay, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, you have rules. For the next 6 months, we're going to get together once a week. We're going to discuss the trauma that we're experiencing, the traumas in our churches, and this group is confidential. We can't tell anybody about it. Confidential. And we have to be honest. But we can't share it with anybody else in the group. How would that work?
It will work.
It would work.
Yes.
It won't work.
Would it work? It would work. Why wouldn't it work?
I think there are so many dynamics. One of them is lack of trust.
Okay.
The other one is cultural barriers
Okay.
on who you want to relate with on that kind of level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Lack of trust. Even if we establish the rules, you don't trust that everyone will follow them.
Rules were made to be broken.
Okay. Okay. So, when I enter into a relationship with my clients, they trust, and I'm held to a code of ethics, that I cannot break those confidences. You notice when I tell you stories, I'm very vague. I don't tell you names. I've never told you which prison I work at. Okay? I don't tell details. I may have changed some details so that you can't identify the person or people. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? Because I have a code of ethics that I need to live by. Do you all have a code of ethics that you live by? Or do they go out the window as soon as it's convenient? Yes, sir.
I guess it's easy to speak to a stranger than a friend.
Agree.
Yes.
Agree. That's why I don't counsel my friends.
So you see, in this class we are friends, that's why it can't work.
So it's actually in my code of ethics that I cannot counsel friends or family members. Okay? So that's why I asked about the groups. Okay? What if you formed a group with people that you're not friends with? Eventually you become friends, but would it be easier to have that support group? So you two are married? Did I understand that correctly?
No, she's my boss.
What?
I work for her.
You work for her?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's your boss.
Typically.
Well, isn't that the definition of a husband anyway?
He's my son.
Well, ma'am, you do not look old enough to have him.
I pray for those of the husband.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I said that I also play the role of a husband in her life because she's single. So.
Okay.
And I just lost my job.
Fired and disowned all in one second. You can turn on
To
your mic.
what group 2 talked about how
Yes.
some people respond to suffering
Okay.
in the church. Some opt to leave the church.
Okay.
And maybe if getting to know somebody hinders me from sharing, then they will be more comfortable to have their issues addressed on the other side than being addressed in a church that they are known by the other members.
So, if we are pastorally caring for somebody, should we be making their issues known?
We shouldn't, but
We
it
shouldn't.
happens.
But it happens. It should not, but it happens. Okay. If they leave church because they're angry with God, okay, and we know that happens as well, okay, we should be less concerned, and hear me out on this, we should be less concerned about them leaving church than we should be more concerned about providing care. I'm going to say that again. we should be less concerned about them leaving church than we should be concerned about providing them care. Okay, let's look back. What did God do? What did God do? Where was our reading at? Help me out. I'm not finding it. What was God? Yes. When Elijah was exhausted and in despair in 1 Kings chapter 19, what did God do first?
We give him rest. Rest.
Say it loud.
God provided rest, food, water, shelter, and
He didn't say get your butt to church. He provided rest, food, water, shelter, and a quiet presence. Stabilization comes before instruction. Stabilization comes before instruction. Okay, so if somebody leaves the church because of trauma, these should be our first thoughts. How are we stabilizing them? Do they have the rest they need? Do they have the food they need? Do they have the water, the shelter, the presence, our presence? Those are the things they need first. If we're not providing that first, then we're more concerned about a seat, a butt and a seat. So we can say, look how many we have attending our church, than we are about providing pastoral care. Did that sink into everyone? Okay. So, let's go back to support groups. Would it be an unheard of challenge to you, or a result of this class, that if you get with 3 to 4 people that you maybe don't know, that you feel safe with, and you form a support group, how many people are willing to do that? And if you're not, I get it, but how many people feel like they're willing to do that? That they're willing to connect with their peers and work to form a support group after this class is over for the next 6 months to a year? Those of you who are willing to do that, make sure that through this week, you guys start to form those groups. Okay? This is my challenge to you. I can't stay here. I would love to be able to stay here, but I need to provide my own food, shelter, at home for my son, who works for me. Okay? And lives in my home. Thank heavens not with me, but in my other home. Okay? So, I need to return, but this class is for you to help yourselves and to help your congregations. So form those groups. Form those groups. Support each other. Okay? Stop making ministry a competition. Okay? Start making ministry about supporting each other and being one in Christ, one body. Amen? Amen. Okay. Do we have any more comments on question number 2?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. You're my viewer now, you know that. I wish than my son and I could be mistaken for husband and wife. I wish I looked that way. You're my new hero.
Now, just to add on what Group 2 was responding to, I think I'm surrounded by Gen Z. And so one of the contributions was Gen Zs are saying, we left church, but not God.
Okay.
So in the when Gen Z are disappointed with church, they leave the body of Christ, but they still claim to have a relationship with God.
So they haven't left the body of Christ.
They're not with the body of Christ, but they have
They're still with the body of Christ. They are still with the body. If they believe, they are still with the body of Christ. And where two or more believers gather together,
so it's their own movement now, not with the other generations.
yeah, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Yes, but what are the chances of surviving spiritually when they are alone and they are not being supported?
How do you know they're not being supported?
Well, they are saying they have left the church, but they have not left God.
Right. Okay. So here's my challenge. So we record sermons all the time. Can you watch them? Can you have an online community? Okay. Can you have a home church? Okay. Can they have a small group study? Okay. So, you don't know they're not being supported. They're just not being supported in the traditional way. They're not being supported in the traditional way in traditional churches. They still believe. Okay? Now, if they're like in the United States, they see some hypocrisy. They see us acting not in a godlike fashion. Okay? So our challenge in churches is to see how are we meeting the needs of our congregation members. How are we meeting the needs of our congregation members? Or do we say, which is my favorite church saying, this is the way we've always done it. I was at another church before I was a minister. And I wanted to form a working woman's study group. And I was told no. There were already 3 women's study groups. And all of them were failing. They were losing members. But guess what? None of them met in the evenings. None of them met on the weekends. And none of them provided child care. But I was told no. And now my understanding at that church is those 3 women's study groups have been reduced to 1. They're still failing, and they have not still created a working woman's study group. A woman who is gone throughout the day, who needs help with her children at night, who still wants to participate in Bible study. How can she meet on a Tuesday afternoon when she's at work? Was that church meeting the needs of its congregation members, or were they just doing it the way it's always been done? Which? Always the way it's been done. So, Is our ministry meeting the needs of Gen Z?
I think it's yes and no.
Okay?
It's yes and no. But I think our worst scenario was when we talked about the Gen Z and also other adults turning to social media and AI and asking ChatGPT your questions instead of asking the body of Christ.
Okay. So, a lot of people who are older find a lot of discomfort with these things. Right?
Yeah.
It's new. It's new technology. It's unfamiliar. Okay? I heard a lot about negative impacts of technology last week. Now I want you to think about this. Without technology, would you be able to watch the recordings of these classes? Without technology, would I be able to help you on an ongoing basis by creating the videos that you need me to create? So social media, AI, all of those things are what you make of them. They are not inherently evil. Okay? They are not inherently wrong. Even the questions in asking ChatGPT are not inherently wrong. Okay? My oldest son, who is a very, very strong believer, calls ChatGPT a force multiplier. Force multiplier. Let me explain what that means. Okay? If you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to multiply much. If you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to multiply much. Okay? But if you can give it some direction, okay? I want to know this specific thing. I want you to do this specific thing. You can give it very clear, specific instructions. Okay? It can do for you quicker than what you would be able to mechanically do for yourself. And if it's not right, you'll be able to spot what's not right and give it additional instructions to make it better. But if you don't have the initial knowledge, then it's not going to multiply much. Okay? Who uses a calculator on a regular basis? Did you learn how to do that mathematics in your head? Did you learn how to do that mathematics in or on paper? Yes? Okay? Is a calculator evil because it does it quicker for you? Is a calculator evil because it does it quicker for you?
No.
It's technology. And I've heard lots of people criticize the use of calculators because kids don't know how to do math anymore. Okay? Well, if they learn how to use a calculator appropriately, they'll know if they punch something into the calculator and it's not right, they're going to know it's not right. If they've never been taught how to do the math, and they use the calculator and they punch something in wrong, they're not going to know enough. It's a force multiplier. So if you know what you're doing, it's a tool to help you do it faster and quicker. If you don't, you're going to look foolish using it because you're not going to know when you make mistakes. Does that put it in perspective?
I dropped the mic.
we make of it. Okay? The issue is when we don't understand that, when kids who don't have a lot of experience think they know more because they typed it into ChatGPT, and they don't understand that that's not the best results, because they didn't even know what to ask in the first place. So how many of you said you didn't know about trauma theology? How many of you said you didn't know about trauma responses? How many of you said you didn't know how much this impacted your day-to-day life? Okay? So, now that you're going to have this course, you're going to more aptly know. Okay? So if you put something in the chat GPT now, you could say, oh, I could ask for more detail. I could have very specifics. Could you give me some relaxation techniques to reduce anxiety? ChatGPT could give you some. Okay. Before that, you wouldn't have known what to ask for. You understand? There's a force multiplier there. Okay? So, technology is not inherently bad. It is not. It's what we do with it and how we gain the knowledge and if that knowledge is accurate. Okay? So, if ChatGPT gives us the wrong answer, it's because we asked the wrong question. Yes?
You're very right, because we are trying to cut the tree from the stem upwards. We're not investing in the roots. We are blaming people that we are not there to shape their destiny. Now, they've been introduced to things that they are now able to force multiply through ChatGPT. Then we want to come when they are grown up and they are up the shoot. We want to introduce them to the roots that are deeply rooted into other things, which is not possible. So the thing is, we try and bring another generation as we go up and try for better ways of bringing back to the right roots, which is not going to take a day, just like dealing with the trauma. It might take years, but then we should be patient enough without blaming things that we were not there to shape, because now we are looking into the thing they are doing there and it's happening. But woe to us because we did not invest the right materials into their upbringing.
So, is it possible to always learn new ways to do something? To improve on what we're doing. Okay? And this goes with parenting, it goes with ministry, it goes with being a good spouse, it goes with being a good son and a good mother. Okay? So when we look at these things, okay, when we know better, do better. When we know better, when we know better, one more time, when we know better, exactly. Okay, so these are challenges. How can we better meet the needs of Gen Z? Okay, how can we better ask them? Ask them. I'm serious. I'm serious. If I came into your community and I said, and this is a discussion that we've had, we would like to bring a mission group on one of our next visits. But I'm just not going to show up with a random group of people and say, this is what we're doing. Okay? I've been asking, what is it that you need from us? If I brought a group of people, what would you want them to do? What skills do you require? What things can we accomplish? I'm not the expert of you. You're the expert of you. Okay. I have a little bit of knowledge that I can share with you, but it's up to you to apply it. So, if I'm ministering to a group of Gen Z, they're the expert of them. Okay? What is it that you need from the church? What is it that you need from our ministry team? How can we help you in your worship of God? How can we support you? Is that making sense? Okay? It's always a challenge because we always have this is the way we've always done it. It was good enough for me, why isn't it good enough for you? Why can't you just go along? Why do you have to be difficult? Okay? The only constant is change. The only constant is change. Have we exhausted question number 2? Yes? No, we have not. We have a lady in the back and then we'll get to you.
We discussed about how people respond to suffering in our churches by visiting the orchard or going to the witch doctors for help.
So, do witch doctors is that more spiritual or physical or all the above? Do they supply medicine?
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
but it's not the modern medicine maybe that you may be thinking about.
But a more holistic medicine, like a plant-based or
charms. Let us say charms.
Okay. Okay. So that is somebody who is looking holistically. Okay. For feeling that their needs are not being met. Okay? And we all, I shouldn't say we all, but I know that there are some superstitions that are out there. Yeah. So I mentioned that my grandfather came from Sicily. So my dad would have you ever seen the little Italian horns that people wear on necklaces? Okay? That's to ward off evil spirits, the Maloki. So when I was growing up, we had to have the little horn in all the buildings, in our house, in the kennel with the animals, in the barn, in the car while we were driving, to ward off the evil spirits. Okay? There are times that we believe, my father certainly believed in God, okay? But that superstition creeps in, okay? And we ask for reassurance wherever we can get it. Okay? I don't think that we can condemn those people, although it would be very tempting to do so. But I think the answer is going back to rest, food, water, shelter, and our presence. Okay? If we're providing those things versus condemning or giving instruction, okay, they're going to feel the love of that. We're modeling God's love when we do that. Okay? That's key. That is key. Okay? I'm not going to condemn somebody for that, but I'm going to make sure that I'm modeling God's love and supporting them in whatever way they need. And that might be hard. Yes. No, we'll get back to you. I promise. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Because I'm assuming this is part of this whole discussion.
Yeah, I had a question whereby, we're pastors as well, and some of us maybe we have some chances of preaching in rural areas whereby the culture is all about the dressing code. And, you find people, pastors prefer wearing suits. That's when we are very much presentable before God. And you find young people, they wear, like the Genesis, they wear the same, the way they want. And these people, they really have gifts, but they can represent their callings before the pulpit or before others. So how can we deal with this? Because you find the young people are the only ushers that we have in church. And now maybe praise and worship, or maybe they are good intercessors, but their way of dressing code, it cannot allow them to just have God in much of the rural areas. So you find somebody has been employed in somewhere it is much rural, and they are unable to even go to church because they feel they are some kind of isolated because they are being told to change the way of dress. So how can we be tackling this?
So I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. How people dress is important in church. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Is that, did I get all of it, or am I missing some of it?
Yeah. What I mean is, the dressing code is giving us challenges regarding various environments. Like now, if you go to rural areas, not here in town, you cannot find a person wearing a hood like me preaching. It might be very wrong. If you're not wearing maybe a suit and a necktie. So how can we handle that? Because we find I'm not comfortable maybe wearing the suit and I have the calling.
So you don't want to wear a suit, but you think that you're expected to wear a suit. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So I chuckle because what did I do when I came in today? I asked if this was okay. I asked permission. Okay? Because I didn't want to offend. Okay? Now, I'm going to both challenge you and give you permission at the same time. Okay? I have to be very careful at how I dress in the prison. Okay? It's part of the job. Okay? So I don't wear dresses. I would never reveal my legs at the prison. I can't wear a bra with metal in it and underwire. It won't go through the metal detectors. I don't wear high heel shoes. I don't wear shoes without backs, and I don't wear open toe shoes. It's a safety concern. Okay? If I can't run in it, I don't wear it. If I can't fight in it, I don't wear it. So I wear dress slacks that are stretchy. So if I have to fight, I'm prepared. I'm not kidding. That's the truth. When I'm at church, I often wear skirts. Okay? But if it's cold, I wear pants. Okay? I often wear dress shoes, but if my feet are hurting, I wear sneakers on occasion. Okay? So we are called to dress appropriately for our circumstances. I don't show up in blue jeans for a funeral. Okay? But at the same time, I don't dress above my means. I don't buy suits that I can't afford. Okay? I don't buy clothing that's way too expensive. Okay? I try to dress appropriately within my own budget. Okay? But I also make it very clear to my congregation that I don't care how they show up. I would rather have them in church in a pair of shorts and tennis shoes than not in the church at all. That they are welcome no matter how they are. So that's the twofold challenge. Okay? There are certain expectations as professionals that we have, and we do our best within our comfort levels and our physical limitations to meet those expectations. Okay? But those same contingencies should not be held to our congregation members. They should feel comfortable coming to church no matter what. Because we want them with us if we can. Where we can support them, where we can shepherd them, where we can have relationships with them, where they can be in community no matter what. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry we made you wait so long.
Okay. Just want to respond about how the people respond to the suffering, and you said about people in the church. I just want there are people who left the former church where I was. It's because this were never met, and then decided now to leave the church, and found that the pastor was very arrogant, saying that let them just go. God will bring other people. If one person goes, God will bring another 3 people. So the being arrogant about the people, they are going through some trauma, and then you don't do follow-up, find out why have this person left the church. Is it that he's gone through some challenges of life that has made the person to leave the church, or what is really happening? Just being that ignorance that, oh, let us such person go with another being. So that arrogance in the ministers, it has affected people. They don't meet the needs of people, and it has been a lot of problem in our churches.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that, and then we're going to go to lunch. Okay? That was the alarm, because I lose track of time. I'm not as good as Dr. Watt about that. So I'm going to answer that, then we're going to go to lunch, or we're going to resume. Okay. So I can't control what other pastors do. Can I? I cannot. Okay? I can only control what my team does, and sometimes not even then, but I can control what I do. Okay? I promise you that if you are a safe place and you hear about those people and you reach out to them and you minister them, even if they don't join your congregation, they will know the love of God through you modeling it. Okay? That is a problem, and we have to continuously ask ourselves, are we ministers through our pride, through our position, through our posturing, are we ministers because we're called to model the love of God? And if we're not acting in that way, are we really following our call? Does that answer your question? Okay. We will resume with these, and then we will go. So we're going to end about 3:30 today when we resume back. Okay? We'll have a quick break. I just wanted you to know because we have to pack up because we're moving where we're staying. Okay? So I need to get some things organized. Okay? So we're going to end about 3:30 today. And then, but we're going to resume. We have a half hour for lunch, right? Okay. And we will get with groups 3 and 4, and then we will continue for the afternoon sessions, okay? Okay? Good discussion, you guys. Good discussion. Okay? I told you we're going to be reflexive this week. We're going to have a lot of this. Get used to your groups. Okay? And remember, I very genuinely want to challenge you in your off time when you're not with me to form some groups, some support groups that you're going to be comfortable working with in the next 6 months to a year.